The ongoing trade tensions between the United States, China, and India have been making headlines for quite some time. It all started when the U.S. imposed tariffs on Chinese goods, citing concerns over intellectual property theft and unfair trade practices. This move sparked a heated trade war between the two nations, with China retaliating by imposing its own tariffs on U.S. goods. India, being a major player in the global economy, has been closely watching these developments, trying to navigate its own trade relationships with both the U.S. and China. India faces significant challenges in this new trade landscape. With the U.S. imposing tariffs on Chinese goods, India has to be careful not to get caught in the crossfire. Many Indian companies rely on China for critical components and raw materials, which could become more expensive due to the tariffs. At the same time, India is trying to boost its own exports to the U.S., but the tariffs on Chinese goods have created a competitive landscape that's tough to navigate. Indian businesses are having to think creatively to stay ahead of the competition. The Indian government has also been trying to diversify its trade relationships, seeking new partnerships with countries like the US, EU, and Japan. However, this won't be easy, as China has a head start in terms of trade relationships with these nations. China's Belt and Road Initiative has also given it a significant advantage in terms of infrastructure development and connectivity. India will have to invest heavily in its own infrastructure to remain competitive. The US-China trade war has also led to a phenomenon known as tariff arbitrage, where companies are routing their goods through countries like India to avoid tariffs. This has created new opportunities for Indian businesses, but also poses risks if the US and China were to impose tariffs on Indian goods as well. Indian policymakers are having to walk a tightrope to balance the country's trade relationships with both the US and China. China, on the other hand, has been employing clever strategies to navigate the tariffs. It has been diversifying its exports, investing in countries along its Belt and Road Initiative, and even using its massive state-owned enterprises to absorb some of the tariff costs. China has also been trying to strengthen its economic ties with other nations, like the EU and ASEAN countries, to reduce its dependence on the US market. The Chinese government has also been using diplomacy to counter the US tariffs. It has been engaging in high-level talks with the US, trying to negotiate a trade deal that would ease the tensions. China has also been using its influence in international organizations like the WTO to push back against the US tariffs. These efforts have been paying off as China has managed to maintain a relatively stable economy despite the trade war. India, in response, has been trying to boost its own economic competitiveness. It has been investing in infrastructure development, simplifying its tax code, and implementing policies to attract foreign investment. India has also been trying to strengthen its trade relationships with other nations, like the EU and Japan, to reduce its dependence on the US and China. But is China truly outsmarting India in this trade game? A key moment that showcases China's strategy was when it signed a massive trade deal with the EU, which included significant investments in sustainable energy and digital infrastructure. This deal not only strengthened China's economic ties with Europe, but also gave it a significant advantage over India in terms of trade. The implications of this are significant. If China is able to outmaneuver India in the trade war, it could gain a lasting advantage in terms of economic influence. India, on the other hand, risks getting left behind if it doesn't adapt quickly to the changing trade landscape. In summary, the trade tensions between the US, China, and India have created a complex and rapidly evolving landscape. While China seems to be outsmarting India in some areas, India is fighting back with its own strategies. The future implications of this trade game are significant, and it will be interesting to see how both nations adapt to the changing global economy. So, what do you think? Is China outsmarting India with Trump's tariff game? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you're interested in learning more about global trade trends, be sure to check out my next video, where I'll be diving deeper into the world of international trade and exploring the opportunities and challenges that lie ahead.